Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the post-show live chat, where we're going to be talking about everything that went down in this latest episode of The Bachelorette. Week 4 is here. How's everyone doing tonight? I guess I don't need to. We've got the sounds down pat. We don't need to do this reveal that I've been waiting for. Okay, that's the last time. How's everyone doing tonight? So, week 4, Blake has arrived, and there's a lot to talk about. There's, the whole Thomas business, the fake out with Thomas, Blake arriving, how's Blake gonna do, preview for next week, Bachelor stuff, Bachelor edits that we're getting, justice for Thomas. Yeah, a little bit, but not a lot of it, but a little bit. A little bit in the sense that I think everyone there has thought about being the Bachelor. But okay, before we get into talking about the episode, let's just quickly go over the rules, the chat rules for the night. Katie outfit repeater. Yes, we can talk about that too. So number 1, please, no posting blatant spoilers in the chat. Of course, anything that's sleuthed out, anything that comes from an official account, like a Bachelor producer, or the Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise account, totally welcome. Anything sleuthed out, encouraged, but no blatant spoilers, please. As well, chat goes pretty fast sometimes. I'm going to do my best to answer any and all questions that come up, but of course, super chats, we're going to give those priority, of course, and also spamming, anything that violates YouTube policies. Got to say this, it's going to get you either removed, or you're timed out, or banned, depending on how bad it is. And last but not least, be kind to each other. So, those are the rules. And Pero, thank you so much for the super chat right away. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that message with me. That's awesome.
You should do a live watch along. Don't need to show live footage from the show. Something to think about. Shout out from a fellow Canadian. Thank you so much. It's an interesting thing. It's there's a lot going on, like with just trying to track the show. Even just live tweeting sometimes is a lot. I mean, a live follow along could be fun. But I feel like my attention would get so blown everywhere. It might be tough. But shout out to a fellow Canadian. Thank you for the support, and definitely I'm going to be covering Bachelor in Paradise Canada. That's coming up. By the way, Bachelor in Paradise Canada, if you're like Bachelor in Paradise Canada, whatever, there are going to be contestants on from the American show on the Canadian one as well. So it's not just going to be like random Canadian people or people from, like maybe Benoit shows up or something like that, or Blake, Canadian. There are going to be people as well that you will recognize. So plus a few just like people that have been cast in Canada as well. There was one person or a few people who were voted to be on. So, but we'll move away from Paradise Canada. And Asia, thank you as well for your continued support. Nice to see you back here chatting and in the live stream. I was surprised by what Katie said to Thomas. She is a badass. What did you think about Thomas being eliminated? I just didn't like how most of the guys kept talking about Thomas to Katie. Yeah, it was just so like everywhere this episode. Thomas. It was a little bit like, I know, like we've been talking about this for 2 episodes already. The everyone there has thought about being the Bachelor. I think Thomas was too, like, sort of what he said, political about everything. He was like a politician about it, which came off, just disingenuous or something. Like he wanted to be honest in that moment about, like, I came on here maybe not for the right reasons, but I'm now, I've seen the light and I'm here for the right reasons, and hoping that would I guess make Katie think like, oh, he really, he's being honest, and then it backfired because he was kind of like, I wasn't here for the right reasons, and I dated someone shortly before coming on the show, and all this, and it's kind of like, not a good look. So, on one hand, I do think Thomas, I do see where Thomas is coming from. The Bachelor stuff, everyone there has thought about that. So many people have gone on the show, having been on a date before going on the show. In fact, I remember, and we talked about this in videos past, some of the off-season videos, the Bachelor Goat videos. There was Chantal from Brad Womack's season, Brad Womack 2.0, and she was going to be the Bachelorette after that season. She was the runner-up. They wanted her to be the Bachelorette, and she went on a date just before filming was going to start, and then she said, "This is the guy." I went on a blind date, didn't think much of it. At this point, she was already signing the contract to be the Bachelorette, and then she met her guy, and then she said, "You know what? I have to stop the show." And I have to cancel, and now they're married. So sometimes I think about that. We hear it all the time. The Bachelor or the Bachelorette. There's a contestant who says, I had a girlfriend or boyfriend before going on the show. Which, actually, let me take that a step back, because having a girlfriend or boyfriend on the while going on the show is not a cool thing. But going on a date, I don't know. I just think about, if you had met someone and, and they had said, I'm so into you. I went on a date right before, when we were flirting, but now I'm committed to you. You'd probably, that'd be okay. You weren't committed to each other yet. Now is a different story though. So, in that regard, I get what Thomas is saying, but in so many other ways, he just dug his own grave, and it's but it was a big moment at the end of Katie chewing him out. And Kit Kats as well. Thank you for the super chat. Really, really appreciate it. I'm not gonna do this every time, but I really want to use these sound bites.
Thank you for sharing that message with me. That's awesome.
Thank you. Wow, Hunter really killed someone in that preview, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there must always be a new villain. There must always be a new villain. It was Carl, then the torch was passed to Thomas, then we got that out of the way, and now Hunter is the new villain. And that's, why am I surprised, right? There always, up until we're getting close to hometowns, there always needs to be a villain. And then maybe when we're getting into that, right before hometowns area, there isn't, and it's just guy drama, and no one particular villain. But it's always the case. So we're just moving on to the next one. I wonder if Hunter's surprised. He'll go in just out of, all of this going down. But it's an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see how much attention gets put on Blake and how much attention gets put on Hunter, because I think Blake is very obviously no surprise based on the amount of kissing preview footage we're getting of him. He's going to go far. He's not just going to be a Heather and be out of there super quick. He's gonna go far. So maybe they need someone, maybe they need someone new to divert the villain attention on at this point in the season instead of Blake, because Blake's gonna get a hometown. So Hunter's that guy. Otherwise, they would go full blast on Blake, at this point. Thomas is gone, Blake arrives. and maybe that's what they were thinking when they were editing the show, right? Like when they were actually producing the show at that time, they're thinking, okay, Thomas can go, and we can have this big moment. It's gonna be like, oh man, like everyone's gonna be going crazy when Katie like takes back the rose and does all this, and then we put Blake in there, and that's the new villain. You know, the guy showing up. The guys are gonna hate it, but Katie really likes Blake, and then it's like, okay, well, you know, let's edit Hunter in there instead, so that people don't turn on Blake too much when he gets into that romantic hometown footage. So either way, we know. So next week it also looks like, just to jump off that really, just to jump off that like Blake stuff. Next week it also looks like we are transitioning to the 2 1-on-1s and 1 group date part of the show, and Blake is going to get an immediate 1-on-1. So, and Alicia Monahan, what's your take? Thank you so much for the super chat. What's your take on them protecting Katie? I think it's stupid. Katie doesn't need protecting. She, you know, like, we need to protect Katie. She's a grown woman. She doesn't need protecting. She doesn't, like, you know, she doesn't need these guys out here saving her. I'm 100% Team Andrew. That whole episode where he's like, you know, pay attention to your own relationship. Don't get into any of this business of like snitching and you know, trying to protect her. It's stupid. It's stupid. She doesn't need protecting. And to see again, I think that Hunter is going to become the next villain. You're ahead of me already. It seems like he did some damage to someone in the preview. Yeah, so maybe he's also the guy. So next episode we're going to get 2 1-on-1s, it looks like, and the in the preview breakdowns we talked a lot about the group date where all the guys are on that like sports date or something, and Michael gets like bashed or something, injured. Maybe it's Hunter who does that, but definitely they edited him with a villain edit in that preview, and it's, you know, there must always be, until we get a certain point, a villain of the season, even if it's like villains in this season have really become sort of shades of gray. I think they've started to learn a little bit, with a few exceptions from their past, where they just like full blown made someone a horrible villain, and it wasn't quite that way. Like I'm thinking of like Olivia from Ben Higgins' season. So all the villain stuff is a little bit shades of gray, more so than it was before. But still, he's getting that villain edit. I don't think he's actually that much of a villain, but you know, there's got to be someone to root against. If you're rooting for a bunch of people, there's always got to be someone to root against in any good story. So that's what they're doing here, for him. And I am not Nicole. Thank you for the super chat, and good to see you back as well in the live chat. Were you Team Trey or Team Andrus? Oh, I think I've already answered that as well. Katie is pulling a ton of stops that most people don't, rewarding the tattler, going off on Thomas at the end, major Hannah B and the pedestal move vibes. Yeah, so like the whole Trey tattling thing and being rewarded is very, like, he won the battle, but he's not going to win the war, right? So first of all, again, 100% Team Andrew. So like on his side with his argument for like 99% of this episode. But do I think Trey, you know, is being rewarded and is going to go far in this season?
No,
not at all. Trey is you know, he doesn't even slot into the top 6 as far as I'm concerned. Like, who when you match him up to Andrew S., Blake, Greg, Justin from the preview footage, Michael, Connor, even like how do you fit him above anyone else? He's gonna get sent home, fairly soon. And in terms of, like, think about how he's perceived on the show. He's just someone who's talking about other dudes. So you don't think of him as, like, a romantic interest. We've seen Greg. We've seen Andrew S. We've seen Michael. We've seen Connor. We've seen more romantic connection in this episode with Katie and Blake than we have with Trey. Talk about, like, actual romance and relationships and stuff like that. So Trey, just like every Tatler, it is not going everywhere. There are some exceptions to the Tatler rule. Like Luke P was an exception. There, it happens, but for the most part, he's it's not going to happen. But it's an interesting thing that you say, the Hannah B pedestal move. Like, those are moments that are, perhaps, like Hannah B doing that was in the moment, right? Hannah B moving the pedestal back from Luke P in the moment. That was not something that, like, could ever have been in your wildest dreams, like, planned by producers. And it was something that people, like, reacted to. So, not that I'm saying Katie's thing with Thomas was producer made up necessarily, but it could have been. But trying to recreate that moment is something that maybe is in the producer's mind, and maybe that's something they were trying to build up to here. It's an interesting. I'm just going off of, like, your comment kind of made me think about that. So Alicia Joe, thank you as well for the super chat. Do you think the group dates were switched? Maybe not an outfit repeater. If so, and Thomas did talk about being the Bachelor during his Love Your Fits. Thank you so much for the super chat. So yes, Thomas's stuff was an outfit repeater, and there was another outfit repeater apart from Katie this episode. Thomas's stuff here. So Thomas here, and in this shot, he's got his, like, pink. Everything's kind of reversed, so I'm kind of like the weatherman here. Thomas here in this business, different than here in this business. And in my video, I talked about, you can see his pocket square is different, but the jacket is the same. Katie, however, in the episode, when she's going to visit Blake, has the same sweater that she's wearing in the Nick. He's not wearing, and he took his pocket square off in this shot. Is not wearing, in Katie, in the part where she's sitting down with Tayshia, is wearing the same sweater that she was wearing in the Nick date. And that's probably because during the time when she went to see Blake, or Tayshia came to see her about Blake, that was before the date with Nick Viall. And I talked about this again in my video, that Nick said she had mentioned Blake when he talked with her. So it probably was just a timeline thing. They didn't want to introduce Blake that early, so they just pushed it over to the next episode. But there was, Christian was an outfit repeater. He had a different shirt, but the same over, the jacket on. But at the end of the day, it didn't make a difference. Like, we predicted that Christian was going to go home this episode. He did. He just is in no preview footage, and he was not in that any footage from that group date, the whatever whatchamacallit date, the sports date, sports ball date. So, like, even though that detail was wrong, it didn't really matter, because at the end of the day, the major points of the previews don't really lie. We speculate on the details and, storylines that maybe make sense to us, and, that's like the fun of it, right? But sometimes it's wrong. Often it's wrong. But, like, at the end of the day, if someone's not, showing up at a group date, they're not going to get a rose. So that's why it's easier, especially at this point, to predict who's going home. And then maybe we're not going to get another group date footage bit in the next preview, but we can still speculate on who's going to go home because, like, that we go through, all these list of guys, and it's like, okay, well, it's not Greg that's going to go home. Who hasn't? Oh, James. Like, what screen time have we gotten of James? Nothing. So, like, he's probably going to go home this next episode, or, if he stays, then the episode after that. And the details aren't, like, super critical because, going home next episode or the episode after is not a huge deal. But, like, once it gets to hometowns, now we're talking a huge deal. So, that's often where I come out with like the sleuthing, the preview breakdown stuff. So Tyra Howell, thank you as well for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Unpopular opinion: Katie needs to end her pro snitch policy. It's not going well, and it's rewarding drama starters. Yeah, it does have a reinforcing effect on the house. We've seen it. Now, what we also probably didn't see, I know I've talked a lot about, like, Trey only focusing on talking about the other guys and talking about Thomas and stuff like that. It always is the case that we don't see footage of people actually connecting on the show, especially from guys who don't make it a certain amount of time in the season. Trey's one of those guys. He's only got an episode or two maybe left in him, based on just the preview footage. No offense, Trey. And he probably had a really good sit down with Katie. She said she had a really good time with him at the first part of the date. So that date rose was probably a little bit because of that. So there's more than just like her saying thank you for giving me the the information about Thomas. That, like, it's probably a little bit more than that. But still, it has a reverberate word effect on the house, as we saw Andrew S. getting upset about all that stuff. So it's true. But I think if that's a fault against Katie, there are so many, positive things she's done as well. So I am not Nicole again. Thank you for the super chat. Also, Thomas said the guys were trying to demonstratize him. Yeah, I noted that down. Another befumbled. Is that a word? Or have I had one too many sour gummy worms? Yeah. Demonsterize. I think I just read it too as demonstratize, which might be an actual word, or maybe I'm befumbling again. But that's a lingerie finasco if I've ever heard one. Yeah. We'll add that to our list. We're going to come up with our own Bachelor dictionary of words that have been not words throughout the season. But yeah, I noted that one down a little bit. It's what? Did I hear that wrong? Yeah. It's become quite the theme over the years, these befumbled words. And Kaleidosaurus, welcome back to the chat. Thank you so much for coming back, joining us. Non-episode related, so deprioritize as needed. Have you followed the PPP loan drama people dug up on Reddit this week? Thoughts? Yes. So so this has come out in this past week, or sorry, not weekday. The PvP loan stuff. Last I'd heard, maybe at around 4 hours ago, 4.5 hours ago, was that Ari, Tasha, and Dale and Colton had taken out these PvP loans. I'm really catching up on it because I'm Canadian. So I don't know entirely what the rules and emergency relief stuff for loans during the pandemic have been for Americans at like a federal level or state level. Like I only know I know CERB, which is the Canadian version, kind of a little bit. So I'm kind of hesitant to like go into it because I'm still like really playing catch up on it because I don't know the law of all of it. But basically, from what I hear, it's that these people took out like loans from the government to like support their businesses as like influencers, but like there are businesses who were needing that money to survive who didn't get that money now, while like Ari, who has 2 homes, like he has a second home in Hawaii now, is getting that money. By the way, his handle was Instagram husband. I read that. I also read like Tayshia came out with a statement saying she used that money to pay for someone, but was it someone who she had already had on anyways. It's like I'm like kind of playing catch up just because I don't know the American law of it, and it happened today, so yeah, I have heard about it, but I'm really behind on it. So I'm hesitant to talk about it because like my view is like, one, I want to know the details of it and the law, like how ethical is all of this, and 2, like has everyone come out with statements about it. So like maybe like next week we can talk about that because I'm not the best person to handle this discussion just because I don't know, but I have heard about that that came out today. It did start thrown around on Twitter and all that, but I guess I'm gonna move on just because I Canada. Canada. So here, let me just play catch up on some of these super chats. And Lindsay McIntyre, I feel like in Katie's sit down with Greg, she was almost pitching herself to him, reminded me a bit of Desiree and Brooks. Yeah, that connection, the Desiree and Brooks, Katie and Greg connection has been made a whole bunch, because it seems like with the breakup stuff that happens in the previews, and now we've kind of figured out that it looks like it's Greg that she's talking to, that she's super into Greg. He's like all over the previews, he's in the forefront. She's super into him, and then he leaves or something, or they have a whatever. Of course, the connection to Brooks is being made, and that might be what it is. We'll see at what point Brooks, sorry, Greg goes. If it's final 2, final 3, and we'll see if Greg comes back, because that's another theory that's been thrown around quite a bit. Not sure, but definitely you are not the only one who has made that connection or that observation that there's like a Desiree Brooks thing sort of going on. But we'll see. Definitely it kind of looks to be a similar thing, but that's also unfair again to Desiree, that connection, because she's happily married, family, and all that. And if that connection is made to Katie, let's be clear. Like she doesn't need protection, like we've talked about already. So she is a woman. She can make her own decisions. To say like if she breaks up or whatever, Greg breaks up with her and she's unhappy, but then she picks someone else, It's kind of, you know, unfair to say, like, this is another Desiree Brooks situation so quickly. Because she might be actually making the decision she wanted to make anyways, and she might be better off for it regardless of the whole mess that might be happening. So, but we'll see. And Kate, it's another super chat. Where did the last rose go? It went into the black void with Nick. Nick is back. It's gone. Yeah, I know. Like David and Christian and other Connor are like, what the hell? I don't know if they were trying to do something that, like, it went to Blake. They also showed in a preview, like one of the Instagram or Twitter previews that they do, like, the day before or the day of, that it was on the ground. It went to no one, ultimately. And Lingardy02, thank you as well. What makes you think that Blake doesn't win? Thanks. The honest truth, no one who's ever come back on the show as a previous contestant has ever won. And we're also going, like, Blake, from Tayshia's season, he got, like, no screen time. He seemed to, I don't know. There's a lot of things, like, people say, like, Blake, he went on the show and he slid into Claire's DMs before the show. Guess what he did before Katie? That he said this episode. He slid into Katie's DMs right before. It's the same pattern. This is the third Bachelorette. He did the, he didn't seem serious, but that's also edit on Tayshia's season. Tayshia obviously was very upset when he left, so we obviously didn't see as much of Blake and Tayshia's relationship as they cared to show, as actually happened, apparently. But at the end of the day, like in the preview, we talked about, like, ooh, is Blake the person that, was in this photo because we got this moment at the end of the episode, where she showed up in that same dress and then she told someone, you're telling me the things I want to hear. But that was Thomas, obviously. But, at the end of the day, the big thing is just, like, no one ever does well. They can maybe go far. Nick went far twice. He went far twice. Once when he came back as a contestant. But typically it doesn't work out for people who come in episode 4 and onward, especially past contestants. Even if the lead likes them. So it's the same thing. Like, I can't give the person who gets the first impression rose on The Bachelor my final pick, unless there's really compelling evidence. Maybe they're getting that good edit. They're like that Goldilocks edit in the previews where they're not shown quite a lot, but, it's just because the person who gets the first impression rose on The Bachelor almost never wins. And the one time it's, like, happened was Peter's season with Hannah Ann, and that doesn't count. So that's my Blake reasoning. But, at the end of the day, I'm starting to come to this idea because a lot of people have been asking me this question. If it's not Andrew S., then who is it? Do I think that Justin is more likely than Blake? I don't think so. Do I think that Greg is more likely than Blake? Only if he does the comeback thing. So, to me, it's still the top 3 are Andrew S., Blake, and Greg. So that's like a 1 in 3 chance that those are, good odds for Blake. So at the end of the day, I get, So that's my thought on the whole business there. And let me see again where these super chats have gone to. Kaleidosaurus again. Ray slash Caitlyn are Tay slash Caitlyn, maybe you're saying, are so refreshing versus Chris Harrison. A supportive girl group that Katie can confide in versus stale TV host. I hope Former Leads continue to host. I do like this idea. Yes, thank you as well for the.
Thank you for sharing that message with me. That's awesome.
I do really like the idea of, because like a lot of people are talking about who's going to be the host coming up, right? Now that Chris Harrison is officially out, and we've got the rotating host thing coming for Bachelor in Paradise, where like a bunch of celebs like David Spade and some others are going to be coming in to host certain episodes. Lance Bass, is coming in, and a few others for Paradise. But what about Bachelorette and Bachelor? And right now, I think if they were going to make a permanent host, they'd have to make a big whole thing about it. And I really like the idea of someone from a past season coming in and hosting. Maybe even the past lead. It's like at the Oscars where they have the winner from the last year do the best actor presents the best actress award. Do something like that, or have someone who is related to the connected to the lead, a friend, to give them advice and host and lead discussions and stuff like that. Definitely it worked out this last episode with Blake coming in and then Tayshia being the host. So I like that idea, and it's gonna I don't know, the way I feel about it right now is that it's gonna take a while to get that like permanent host position in and feeling right for people. So I like this idea, and that could stay the way for the foreseeable future. Like it's like we're talking about who's going to be the host, along with who's going to be the Bachelorette, who's going to be the final pick, and all these sort of things. Who's going to be in Paradise? Add who's going to be the host to the list. Is that what they're going to do? Not necessarily, but I don't know. To me, it sounds like a pretty good idea, a decent idea. I like Tayshia and Kaylin. I know some people it's not their bag, but to me it's not the end of the world. Like you don't like I don't feel like I need the host to do a whole heck of a lot. The big thing is going to be the tell all. That's when the host really works, in my opinion, guiding a tell all. But the tell all, like everything else in the show, is so produced and so like edited that the show can guide anyone in that. As far as I see it, I think they can whoever, like bring Katie in to help Michelle or something like that. Not saying that's my ideal hosting scenario for Michelle's season, but like if Katie's going, how the heck do I guide a tell all? They can protect her pretty well in terms of edit and guiding her through the right things to say and stuff like that. So and Jen, thank you as well for the super chat. What do you think about Katie having neutral nails all season / previews, which producers request for continuity, except the one shot with Blake in the hot tub where she has red nails? Ooh. I'll take a look at that. It's so I like. Is it true that in the last few seasons they've really like cracked down on the nail stuff? Maybe it is. But if say like she's in the hot tub with Blake, what does that say? We're on a random one-on-one. She's got red nails. It could just be like she ran out of nail polish in that particular shot. So it could mean something. It could mean nothing. It's kind of where I'm coming at. I don't know. That's how I feel. Unless there's some footage that we've got that can connect the red nail polish, Um, I don't know. I don't know is my answer to that right now. Um, but definitely this season they've upped their game on the continuity stuff to fool us with the duplicating outfits all around, specifically with the Thomas stuff. And I don't know if it means anything with Blake, but we'll see if that hot tub comes into play next next one-on-one. Blake's getting the one of the two one-on-ones, it looks like, for next episode. And if that hot tub doesn't show up, then that means an additional one-on-one with Blake beyond what we're going to see next episode. So, but I think what we're gearing up to with Blake is a pretty good edit. It looks like they're diverting from Blake to Hunter for the drama. Blake will be a part of the drama, undeniably. But that's a good sign. That means like he's not going to be, and I mean he's a bunch in the previews a bunch, so we've kind of expected him to do fairly well. But seeing how he's edited really impacts and kind of confirms that he's a contender, as they say in the previews, and not just a Heather who's going to be out immediately. And Jessica Dennis, thank you so much for the super chat. Mary from Bob's season was a returnee on Brian's season N1. Yeah, okay, yes. There are first of all, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for sharing that message with me. That's awesome.
Yes. There are examples early on, but it's kind of like that Bob season was a different era. This is a completely new, zone of how the producers edit things, how the producers think about the show, how the show is, just shot day to day while it's being shot, and prepared and thought about, like, so completely different. And like most everything, we've talked about the snitching stuff with Trey and Katie rewarding it, and like it happened on, Matt's season 2. There's always exceptions to pretty much every rule. Has anyone on The Bachelor gotten the first impression rose and won? Yes. Like Hannah Ann, technically. And then some people say that on Sean Lowe's season, he handed out all those first impression roses. Technically, Catherine got one. But the vast majority of times, it doesn't work out. Vast majority of times. So if like one time out of 10 or 15 plus times it works out, I'm still going to say that I don't have confidence that it works out. That's kind of in a very boring way, like that's a lot of what the sleuthing is just kind of going with the odds. And sometimes, and if it's wrong, then it's like it's like, okay, I was wrong. If it's right, then we're looking good. But I'm just going with the odds, And even with Peter's season with Hannah Ann, I still don't count that as anything good. I've sort of shifted my terminology. If you get the first impression rose on The Bachelor, it doesn't end well. Before it was like, if you get the first impression rose, you don't win. But now it's like, if you get the first impression rose on The Bachelor, it doesn't end well. Hannah Ann, quote unquote, to use the, the crude, won a season where love is supposed to be the outcome. She won that season, but didn't end well. So, and let me just see here. Come back. There we go. Chat just jumped on me. Rachita, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Thoughts on the rumor surrounding Greg and Katie shading him by liking that Instagram post? Yeah, so people have mentioned that in the comment section. Katie liking a post, and so happy to talk about this because one thing that we've noticed from Katie is that she is the most social media present as a season is airing and before a season like lead ever. And I think like along with this season, and we've talked about the outfit repeating stuff and this, the shading, it always seems to be stuff like this, but I'm reluctant to think anything about it because Katie has been known to troll people on social media a ton with likes, and because she knows that there's a whole sect of, you know, Bachelor Nation sleuthers who look into things like, oh, like what did this family member's mom like or follow on Instagram, you know, like what does that mean? This person's mom followed this person and then unfollowed them, and you know, this whole thing, does that mean that they are together? Does that mean that they now broke up or something? And so not long ago, Katie posted this thing about John, and apparently this whole thing was going on where people thought that John was going to be the winner, and he was edited, or he was eliminated like, you know, 2 episodes or the other episode ago, and she posted this thing on Twitter, kind of like a little wink, you know, like haha. So she's trolling people. So it's like you can't tell if that's something that is earnest, which in the past it might have been earnest, that like you know, a lead likes something, you know, shading someone who treated them poorly or whatever. But with Katie, you have to kind of be cautious. She's shown that you know, this thing popped up, and it's like about John, and it's got like a whole bunch of likes, and apparently people were thinking John was going to be the winner because there was something like she posted a picture of herself at a place where John worked, you know, saying like enjoying the day or something. I don't remember what it was. And people were like, that's where John works. That's like where John's bar or something like that, or where he's a bartender. And then and people were going like, that's it. And then she was like, aha, you know. So you know, it makes sense in the idea that like we've seen footage of potentially Greg and her breaking up and her getting really upset. So it makes sense that she might shade that, but you can't take it as anything. You got to be aware that perhaps Katie might be trolling. So that's why I'm not like jumping on that as anything. But it's fun. And Allie Grace, thank you so much for the super chat. You should totally research the nail gate theory that Jen mentioned earlier. They did crack down on nail polish during filming, except for safe house visits. Oh, okay. So okay, I'll look into that. That's something I didn't know about. But I guess it makes sense, because when you think about how they like to present the previews sometimes. You know, when they show the really romantic footage, sometimes it's just like them cheersing, and you just see the hands, or, you know, like them like, you know, like kissing each other with like hands out here, and you can so maybe that is something that they were cracking down on. But okay, I'll add that to my list of stuff to look into for the next while. But yeah. They did crack, except for the safe house visit. So just to jump off that, is that saying then that perhaps this moment in the hot tub is a safe house visit? Because I don't buy that. It looks like it's there, but maybe I'll research into it. Still, again, like at the end of the day, like if like I guess maybe you're implying that she has this date with Blake, she wears the same nail polish, and then she goes on a safe house visit. It's like interesting. Like, can we go, aha, that's the ticket on there? No, you know. If I, you know, like I've worn the same shirt on a date, you know, X amount of years ago versus someone I might have gone on a date, you know, X amount of time ago as well. Like, you know. It's not hard evidence is what I'm. So I'm reluctant to go like aha with that, but so okay. Before we end off the stream, we got a little bit like, whew. A lot of chat, a lot of super chats, lots of things talking about just like...
You have no one to put on blast.
Whew, so much to go through. The last thing we can talk about is Bachelor discussion. Because that's something that's starting up as well. I switched to Michael because he's one of the ones, but if we're going to talk about, before we finish the live stream, talk about Bachelor predictions, early predictions for the show. I'll say it's just someone from the season, right? So let's put out of our minds for a little bit that it's someone who might be in Paradise or someone from a past season. Okay? Just for the sake of our own mental clarity, and only talk about Bachelor possibilities from this season. I think it's pretty straight and narrow. From this season, if you go through all these guys, Aaron, nope. Andrew M, nope. Andrew S, we'll see. We go through all of these lists. There's really only a couple of guys. So let's first start with Greg. Greg, he's gotten a huge push in the previews, but everything depends on how things end. Is he going to break up and have a bad breakup with Katie that's not likable? No. Is he going to have a breakup that's really, like, heartbreaking? Maybe. We'll see. Like, I know people are saying no Greg, but like, you don't know. And Greg has a huge following for him. So Greg is a possibility. Greg is a possibility. Hunter, James, nope. Justin is my guy.
You have no one to put on blast.
I love Justin, but is he going to be the Bachelor?
No.
We'll see how things end. I'd love to see his. I'd love to see his his ending, but I just feel like he falls short in terms of screen time. Carl is a huge no. Just no. Michael is an interesting case. Is there any? No. Okay. Michael is an interesting case. If Mike, yeah, no, I know. Mike, no. Sorry. No screen time. He got his little storyline bit. Not going to happen. Michael is an interesting case. Dad, a little bit older. He got some primo screen time this episode, but where's any more footage of Michael apart from one or two things? Michael, I think, is the person who Katie's talking to here, I believe, when she says,
our time together was cut too short. All I want to do is just cry. Our time together.
It could be a setup for Michael. I know people like have been on it, and I'm always really, really reluctant to talk about someone as the Bachelor, when they're kind of it's only week 4 and they're the one of the guys of the moment. But we have so much time to go, and typically it's always someone from the top 4, right? And that's so far away, and I don't think Michael makes it to the top 4. But if this scenario happens in the top 6 or right before hometowns, that could be a huge setup for Michael. And if Michael goes to Paradise and has a story there, they could bolster that. So essentially what I'm kind of talking about here is, if it's anyone from these group of guys, it's don't Greg, we talked about, Andrew S, maybe, you can't count out anyone who's in the top 4 who it just, there's no way, Connor doesn't sneak into the top 4. Maybe Connor sneaks into the top 4 with no preview footage. But regardless, if we're talking Connor or Justin, even, they both seem to fall at the 4. It's Blake, Andrew S. and Greg, who are clear, it seems to be top 3. And I don't see Blake being the Bachelor either. It would take a lot of weight being pulled. So, early talks for Bachelor, Greg, Michael A, if it's this group. There can still be people from Tayshia's group or with a Paradise arc that could easily get in there. I imagine Bao, yeah, Bao, not even on the season. He's the Bachelor. But Matt James. Mike Johnson for Bachelor. Yeah, should have been. Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen. Why don't you have a seat right here? Why don't you have a seat right here? Let's have a one-on-one chat. Carlos the baby. Anyways, those are possibilities. I think, people have been really also, when it comes to Michael, people have been pretty, I've been pretty upset with the choices for Bachelor. And if I'm thinking about things from a producer's perspective, Michael A might fit into the possibility of someone who people believe and, seems to be there for the right reasons. And if at the end of the day, your goal is to find, just have a season of The Bachelor where someone finally actually, has a successful relationship. No, to be fair, Matt and Rachel are apparently still together. But a very by the books Bachelor success story, this could be it. Depending on how far he goes in this season, this could be it. That's just my early thinking. Maybe I'm influenced by how, well edited he is. But also, if I'm being influenced and we as an audience are being influenced about how well he's being edited, that could tell you something about the thought that they're exploring. Maybe. I'm just at this point I'm cancel The Bachelor. Let's just put on more seasons of The Bachelorette because it seems to be going much better. It's and I tout. I feel like I'm going crazy because I tout romance. I don't need the I just You don't need a season to end in an engagement for there to be romance in the season. But they just seem to cut it when it's a season that ends in dramatically. And you can have a season that ends dramatically and still have like a romance story that builds. It's just it's, to me, it's like, I want the drama as well, but they need to have a season of The Bachelor that's not just the same crapshoot that it always is. But all right, that was our last little bit talking on Bachelor. I wanted to fit that in, and before we go, oh man, did I forget to do a stream ending thing? No, I didn't. I made one for this. I made one. Thank you all for joining. Bachelor fan take, would you consider breaking down the next Bachelor Australia season? I don't know if I'm going to do a whole breakdown because there's going to be a lot to talk about. But I do want to cover it a little bit. I really, really do. So I might do like maybe a standalone video or something, but yeah. Thank you all for joining me tonight. It's going to be bedtime for Bachelor Fan Take as I get up nice and bright and early as per usual to edit the recap video for tomorrow. And thank you to Think Story for modding tonight. He's fantastic. Really, really appreciate all the work he does every night. He's been doing this for like since we've started. So follow him on YouTube as well. He does amazing YouTube videos, breakdowns, ending explains of pretty much anything you watch. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you all for the super chats and for the discussion. It's so fun always. And keep your eyes peeled for the recap tomorrow and the preview breakdown. As always, there's so much more to talk about, and we're going to get to that. And then we'll be back next week. So thank you all for joining me. Have a great night. Until next time, Bachelor Fan Take. Thank you, Nightbot. Thank you, Nightbot. Amazing work as well for modding. Until next time, Bachelor Fan Take out.